Sydney Cricket Ground. Kick-off just about to get underway in the reserve grade grand final between Manly, Warringah and Penrith. Manly, of course, chasing their 5th premiership. Penrith, of course, chasing their 1st. They line up as you see on the screen. Lob McNeil, Brad Izzard, the late inclusion in the side, and that's a big bonus for the Penrith side. Nissan, Robertson, Fitzhenry, Delaney, Craig Izzard, Geyer, Fenton, Broman, Thompson and Butterfield. Craig Izzard, of course, the captain of the Penrith side. The Manly team, a very experienced lineup. In fact, only one player, the prop forward Glenn Bourne, without first grade experience. Their team is Gurr, Dwyer, Close, Austin, Ticehurst, Meredith, Cox, Cunningham, Cullum, Barclay, Bourne, Haggett and Gately. And the referee for this reserve grade match, 30-year-old school teacher from Condell Park, Greg McCullum, made his first grade debut back in 1983. He controlled the minor preliminary semi-final between Balmain and South and the major semi in first grade between Manly and East. So the game underway. Penrith will defend the Randwick end of the Sydney Cricket Ground, and immediately Martin Meredith leading that Manly defence up. Thompson in a dummy half. Robertson trying to take the pressure off from this left wing. Settling down period. The first penalty of the match goes against Manly Warringah. A little bit too eager, Bill Anderson, up inside the 5, and this will relieve the pressure for the Penrith side.
Yes, it will, and early penalties under conditions like this are of vital importance to you. It gives you the chance to settle your play down, to work the ball up into the opposition's half and put all the pressure on them. In semi-final football, what it's all about really, David, is field position. You've got good field position, then you come up with points.
Well, Peter Sterling and Wayne Pearce also joining us on the touchline. Peter, this Penrith side, 7 players with grand final experience in the under-23s last year, but it's a pretty talented side chasing their first premiership.
Yes, it certainly is, David, and I agree with Bill. I think this team that can play the best field position will win this game, and that experience they got last year will certainly help.
And Wayne, no doubt you've seen a lot of this Manly side up in first grade throughout the 1987 premiership.
Certainly is a good side there, David, and I believe that their strength lies in the forwards, whilst the Penrith side probably has a slightly stronger backline. So it's a great contest between the two sides, and hopefully they can work to their strengths.
Well, Marty Gurr taking the ball and touching goal, so play will come back for the goal line dropout and early pressure on the Manly Warringah side. Marty Gurr, of course, the former Eastern Suburbs player, joined the Sea Eagles in 85. He's experienced a grand final, but not a grand final victory. He was in that Eastern Suburbs side, was defeated by Canterbury back in 1980. Well, there's the dropout. Big Mark Geyer charging upfield inside the 22. Met by Cullum in the tackle, and also by Chris Close. Going into dummy half is Jamie Thompson. He was a member of that under-23 side last year. Delaney will, the little fellow that really will direct play. That's Robinson again, searching for work. Broman, Fenton. 3 of the Penrith players wearing the headgear in this game in the grand final. Thompson, the hooker, a dummy half. They work again through Geyer, through the dummy, held the pass up. But the defence is there in the form of Ian Barclay. McNeil, both the Penrith wingers doing their work. There's the kick, hoisted high in the air. It's well placed. Up go the defence. It's taken down by Manly Warringah, and in fact they will get the penalty. So Tim Dwyer, the man coming up with the ball, he will also assume the goal-kicking roles for the Manly Warringah side today. In season 1987, he scored 110 points from 3 tries and 49 goals. And there's his kick for touch towards the touchline on this western side of the Sydney Cricket Ground. For those people that may have just joined us, a reminder, you're watching a bit of history today. The final grand final to be played here on this hallowed turf. So for the first time, Manly with the ball on attack. Haggett, Cox driven to the ground. Good defence by Penrith. No need for the second tackle. That sparked the incident, Bill. That's exactly what Penrith didn't need to do with Manly camped inside their 22. The tackle had been affected, and the referee quite right coming in to break that up.
Yes, the Penrith player is obviously going to put a lot of pressure on Mitchell Cox. He's come into the side as a replacement halfback for Paul Shaw, who's sitting on the bench for first grade, and Mitchell got some special attention in this tackle, has incurred a penalty, and once again what happens now is Manly get the opportunity to get some good field position.
So once again Dwyer kicking for touch, taking play up inside Penrith's end of the ground, and that's the first time in the opening couple of minutes that we've seen them in that area. Bourne charging upfield. It's a big moment for young Glenn Bourne. He's only 23 years of age. Haggett, Meredith, Gately had a superb game in the final. They'll be after a repeat of that performance today. Cullen was left out. Haggett went on his own from dummy half. Taken over the top of the tackle by Darryl Broman. Well, he knows what it's like to win a grand final. Member of the Canterbury Premiership side in 1984. Haggett in 25, playing at hooker and dummy half. Vaughan, well, obviously his responsibility to take that ball up on the first play for Manly. It's the final tackler inside the attacking 22. Gurr hoisting it towards the blind side. Brad Izzard goes up on, it's picked up by Meredith. It's a try. Is it? No try. Martin Meredith nearly coming up with the goods for Manly.
Great goal line defence.
Manly on the attack. Close. Is close to the line. Haggett now to dummy half for Manly. They're on the attack. Watch for Gately. Good ball skills. This time he's held up though and driven back by some determined Penrith defence. Penrith weathering the storm at the moment. Meredith. Gurr, the little kick through. Picked up by Lobb and the pressure taken off Penrith, but gee, Wayne Pearce, certainly a lot of pressure applied, firstly by Meredith and then by Chris Close.
That's the secret to winning grand finals, as Peter Sterling, I'm sure, knows, is to keep the pressure on the opposition and wait for a crack in their defence, and that's exactly the way Manly are playing this. And with all the experienced players in their side, I should imagine they'll continue to do so.
Well, the bad news for Manly is Mitchell Cox. He's about 3 or 4 off the ruck at the moment in defence, but he's still suffering of the effects of that cork he suffered in an earlier tackle, and if he had to leave the field, that'd be have a damaging effect on the Manly attack.
Well, as Bill pointed out earlier, Cox is in the side for young Paul Shaw, who's been called into first-grade duties on the bench today for Manly Warringah. Ticehurst.
And Dale, I believe that's where Penrith are going to win this game. They've been able to keep their team together for the last 5 or 6 weeks. They're going to have good combination, but the Manly combination won't be anywhere near as effective. And I think you'll find that Martin Meredith will be the man that'll come in and take the first pass off the ruck a lot and direct the play.
Well, there's Alan Thompson, the coach of the Manly Warringah side. Cunningham. Bobby Faulkner, of course, alongside him. I'd say his mind's more around about 3 o'clock this afternoon when his side takes on the Canberra Raiders. Cuts out close. That's Austin. Gee, he's got a great step. Greg Austin. Graham Murray, of course, what a great moment it would be for him if his side could do the victory lap. He was denied last year with the under-23s against South Sydney. They were defeated by 13-0. But he's taken 7 of his players into this reserve grade grand final. There's the ball hoisted high in the air by Cox. It's not a good kick. Guy goes up. It's been tapped back for Manly again. They're still in possession. Hoisted again in the air. Oh, he took his eyes off the ball, but finally takes it in goal. Penalty against Manly Warringah. Players in front of the kicker. But the one that worried me was Warren Fenton, who took his eyes off the ball. It was finally tidied up beautifully by McNeil. So a pressure relieving kick. Certainly plenty of pressure, Peter Sterling, on this Penrith side. As Wayne mentioned, though, they've weathered it in the opening moments, and that is a good sign for Graham Murray's side.
It is a good sign, and I think if Manly had been able to run in an early try, then Penrith may have been in all sorts of trouble. They have weathered a little bit of a storm, but there's still a fair way to go yet.
Well, the Penrith Manly side won both the encounters in the home and aways this year, 18-8 and 16-4. But in the major semi-final, it was 22 points to 6. Penrith, superb performance to win their way straight through. Well, the Cleal family of Manly Warringah coming into the Sydney Cricket Ground. What a moment to see their dad go round today. They're with Graham Hughes.
Thank you, David. Nerves? No?
Oh, not yet, mate. No. I'm more interested in getting the shade, firstly.
A bit too warm, isn't it?
It's a bit warm, but, mate, I'll bush you. I'm predicting a nice cool change about 3 o'clock.
Diane, has it been hard to live with during the week?
No, it's been quite good.
No nerves for you?
Yes, today.
She's worse than me.
What about the little fellas? How's Dad going to go today?
Good.
Is there going to be a win there for Manly?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there it is. David, a confident Manly Warringah outfit, including the Cleal family.
I believe they're both wearing the number 9 on the back too, the two boys, and it is a great moment for Noel Cleal. But the reserve grade side for Manly doing battle at the moment with Penrith. There's the kick downfield. That forces Lobb to retreat. The ball will beat him into touch on the far side. So once again we see Manly back in towards that attacking zone, and a touch judge report from the far side.
Yes, kicking under these sorts of conditions is going to play a vital part in the outcome also. Good kicking game by both sides so far in the match, and a good chasing game to match.
Well, the touch judge in from the far side. Still no score in this reserve grade grand final. So we'll be back with more of the action from the SCG in just a moment. And it's as the crowd builds at the Sydney Cricket Ground. We're only about 2 hours and 20 minutes away from the big one. Penrith on the attack, though, with Big Kaya charging upfield in this reserve grade grand final. We see Thompson from Penrith going now into dummy half, and that's Fenton. He's only about 8 metres short of the Manly line. They've weathered the storm so far in the opening minutes of this grand final. The Penrith side are now a chance of attack. Izzard. Taken over the top by Barclay. Once again Thompson. Fitzhenry. Gurr retreats it in goal. The ball goes dead in goal, in fact, so play will come back to the quarter line. Well, Billy, I've been very impressed with the Penrith side. They've been put under tremendous pressure in the opening minutes. They just, while in the commercial break, weathered another sortie by the Manly Warringah side inside that 22, and they've come now up that end of the ground.
Yes, in the opening, say, 20 minutes of this match, Manly have had by far the majority of possession. They haven't been able to register points, and it was only in the last few minutes, really, that Penrith got their share of the ball, and they were able to work their way upfield fairly comfortably. As I've mentioned before, I think that Penrith have the advantage in this match of combination, and that's what's going to get them home.
Charlie Haggett, the reserve grade hooker, unloading the pass on the first grade hooker. Mal Cochrane has just arrived. Graham Hughes.
Mal, the nerves, everybody wants to talk about grand final week. No problems?
Mate, I feel good. I actually feel nice and relaxed, and I think that's probably the attitude you've got to have.
Notice the team didn't come in the bus. Bobby Fulton decided to let you come and make your own way to the ground.
Well, you know, we've been discussing it, and we decided to treat the game as normal, just a normal routine.
It's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, you can see that, and you can feel it.
All right, well, the sympathies with Canberra, but from everybody, I'm sure, good luck to both teams.
Thanks very much, Graham.
Mal Cochrane talking there with Graham Hughes, and certainly the bounce favouring Penrith. We saw an ugly bounce of Brett Lobby, recovered it through a dreadful pass on the far side, but still they got away with it. They're in attack at the moment. It's back for McNeil, driving it downfield, down towards the opposing 22. Tysers comes back for Manly. Player with a fair bit of first-grade experience for the Manly side this year. In fact, played 14 first-grade games. And towards that cricket pitch area that's been watered to soften it up for the first-grade game. A few of the players had a bit of trouble holding their feet in the under-23 games, but it appears that it's dried out reasonably well. Brad Izzard there at number 40. There's Barclay. Meredith stood in the tackle, still going Martin Meredith. Bumped out of another and takes play to about 8 metres short of the 22. Haggett now for Cox, still stumbling on that leg. Beautiful pass from Cullen to Austin, but Austin's taken in the tackle. Good cover by Penrith. Barclay got the pass away to Cox, to Gurr on the line. Tysers for the line. No, he's taken the corner flag out. Good cover by Penrith. Manly very dangerous indeed.
Excellent cover defence here by Penrith. It looked as if Tysers was going to score. He probably could have driven in a little harder. He tried to stand up and go for the try line rather than drive in. That gave the Penrith cover the opportunity to push him into touch.
Well, that's just another example of weathering the pressure, Peter Sterling.
Yes, it certainly is, and it was a great covering tackle by a schoolmate of mine. Brett Logg came across, and that was going to be a 4-pointer until he arrived.
That's Fenton. Takes play to 10 metres short of halfway. Their recovery power has been tremendous so far by Penrith. They've always worked the ball well outside that 22 after they've been under pressure inside that danger zone. In a dummy half is Jamie Thompson. Delaney for Fitzhenry. You'll see him kicking mostly in general play today, along with the wing three-quarter Rod McNeil. Here's Ticehurst up over halfway. Again the fullback lob to Beattie. Beat him this time, but he's finally run down on the tackle by Mark Dyer.
There you see the disadvantage of chasing in ones and twos rather than as a straight line.
Manly looking dangerous. Cunningham kept the ball alive. Gately inside the 22, and Manly looking dangerous. Now they move towards the blind side. Bourne kept the pass up for Barclay. Stepping run by Barclay. Tremendous try, pass forward. Greg Austin denied. It looked okay, Billy Anderson. Let's see what the replay shows.
It was a tough call that Greg McCallum had to make, but as you can see, he was right on the spot. He was in a perfect position to adjudicate on that one, and he felt it was marginally forward.
And I tend to agree with him, having looked at it on replay. Delaney's feeds, scrum wheeling by Manly. Delaney comes away from the scrum base. See, there's no doubting this Manly side, when they're on attack, they're incredibly dangerous. McNeil. And I've been impressed the way that both these Penrith wingers have got involved trying to run the ball out for the Penrith side. Now Izzard. He's recovered from that bout of pneumonia after playing in the semi-final against Parramatta, which he scored a try. There's Broman. Takes it to the 22. Once again, some good defence. Well, I just wonder what thoughts are going through the Canberra side at the moment. Just a couple of hours away from the kick-off in the 87 grand final. Their first appearance in a grand final. The sentimental favourites. McNeil drives it up over halfway. Tim Dwyer, beaten by the bounce, finally takes it just inside the touchline. Taken over the top by Craig Izzard. So Charlie Haggett for Gurr. Stepping run on halfway. Taken in the tackle by Butterfield. Again, one of the survivors from that under-23 grand final last year. Chopper Close playing in his last game. Got a beautiful pass away to Cox. He's lost it. And that should have been a penalty to Penrith. In fact, it will be. Cox holding the player back. And so the penalty once again will try and drive the ball into Manly's end of the ground. Well, the Manly players, Mark Pocock, reserved for the Manly side today. He would dearly love to be out there, Bill Anderson. That's the penalty you pay when both sides are in the grand final.
Yes, he would, but I'm sure he'll get some chance at late in the second half of the first grade match.
So McNeil. Well, Sterlo, how you enjoy sitting on the sideline. This time last year you were preparing for the first grade grand final, and it ended up with a victory lap.
Well, I was enjoying it, but I nearly got wiped out by the football just then, so it is a little bit dangerous, but I think the danger signs are there for Penrith. Martin Merritt is playing a great captain's role for Manly, directing the play, and if they don't start putting the players on the ground, then we might see a few tries scored very shortly.
Well, Meredith, of course, will be certainly looking for a grand final victory today. Two previous appearances here have ended in defeat, 77 and 83. Here's Izzard. Held the ball up. That Manly defence is strong. Although he stood in the tackle and unloaded, Fitzhenry caught in the defence and driven to the ground. Crusher Cleal, he'll be into the action in a little over 2 hours. Guy Holden, beautiful pass. And Penrith just outside the 22 now. Robinson out for Fitzhenry.
Got the numbers here, Penrith.
Here's a good break. McNeil, and that's a try. First try virtually goes against the run of play. And Graham Murray breathes a sigh of relief. 4 points to 0 in favour of Penrith.
The opening try in a grand final is always an important one. Penrith always had the numbers out on their left-hand side. It was just a matter of good, accurate chain passing. That's exactly what happened. I thought here that McNeil might have been stopped. He was able to go through a poor tackle by Tim Dwyer, his opposite, and come up with a vital opening 4 points.
Well, Bill, that's the first time that Penrith have really opened up and used their back line. We know they've got plenty of pace out there, but Manly have kept them bottled up. And in this situation, it was just a case of sheer numbers. And McNeil, a little bit of a step and a jink, and he's over in the corner. Great try.
So Rod McNeil, former President's Cup player. His fourth try of 87, and now a chance for young Andrew Fitzhenry to take this conversion attempt from just inside the grandstand touchline in front of the members' stand at the Sydney Cricket Ground. 82 points so far in the year. He's kicked 31 goals. Won't this be a bonus? Fitzhenry kicks it. It's away to the left of that left-hand upright, so no goal. But the scoreline here at the Sydney Cricket Ground, it's Penrith in the lead by 4 points to 0. Well, Wayne Pearce, we spoke earlier about weathering the pressure. That is the bonus for the Penrith side.
It certainly is. They've just hung in there and persisted. They certainly missed a lot of tackles and allowed players to spin out of tackles and offload even up until a couple of minutes ago, but they've just really persisted. And I suppose, Peter, it's just a matter of them now not easing up and letting Manly back into the game. No,
it's a danger time now. The next 5-10 minutes, especially after you score a try, you've got to make sure you don't relax and be on your game. It is amazing how many times a side has pressure on for a long period of time, and when the other side do get an opportunity, they run in a try, and that's the case with Penrith scoring against Manly in that last movement.
So the try is 4 points to 0 as the scoreline, and Izzard takes play outside the 22. That was a very good strong run by the big centre three-quarter. There's Fenton, head down, taken by his opposite number, Ian Barclay. Centre field, midway between the half and the 22, and Penrith's end of the ground. Delaney. Butterfield, he had a big hand in that last try, the opening try of this reserve grade grand final for 87. And the job now ahead of Manly Warringah. They did all the attacking in the opening 20 minutes. No rewards. It's a matter of taking opportunities, grabbing them with both hands, as Canberra did against South Sydney in that semi-final just a couple of weeks ago, Bill.
Yes, that's what you've got to do, and a try scored now is one that can break the back of the opposition if they can't get register points on the board quickly themselves.
There's the kick and chase. Oh, silly play by Broman. The referee has allowed play to go on. And I think Daryl Broman was very, very lucky to get away with that, impeding the player after he kicked it. There's McNeil. Well, both these wingers, Bill, as I mentioned, have shown a great involvement.
Well, it's very important on a day like this that they do that. The forwards are going to shoulder most of the workload, but with the heat such as it is, they just won't be able to continue to do that and keep going, and the wingers who don't have a lot to do out wide on the flanks can come in and take some of that workload off them.
Well, now they've got to work in defence because Manly have come up with possession. Haggett, Bourne, stepped over halfway. Got through some pretty ordinary defence. Finally taken by Fenton in the tackle. That's Haggett and Cox. Gately. The young player that really has impressed me in the 7 or 8 first grade games he had in '87. Barclay. He won a grand final that I'm sure our viewers on NBN3 would remember. Back in 1979 with North Newcastle, the former Australian schoolboy. Then went to Eastern Suburbs and now, after sitting out the '86 season, finds himself in a grand final. Austin. Gately. There's some good skills by the prop forward. Close leading the race for Manly. Back comes Robinson, gathers it and he's in goal. And great determination by big Chris Close. That's what it's all about. The kicking game is important, but the chasing game even more so.
An excellent kick, this one, by the big prop forward, Gately. He just put it in behind the defensive line. There wasn't a great Manly chase at first. It looked as if Penrith would be able to tidy it up, but the ball bounced a bit higher than expected. Robinson had to slow to pick it up, and he was caught in goal.
Well, Sterlo, the benefits of the modern game. We've seen the emergence of the prop forwards who have become tactical kickers. I suppose we'll look at '87 and see the emergence of Peter Tunks in that regard. And Ian Gately, a big lumping lad with great ball skills and also a kicking game.
Yes, he's played very strongly, Gately, at the beginning of this game. I don't know whether we'll see Jeff Bugden put a few kicks through next year. I certainly hope that's not the case. But he's played well, Gately, and he's going to be one of the trumps for Manly if they are to get back into this game.
Well, to get back into it, they have to get back on this board pretty soon. There's Gately again. Held the pass up beautifully. Cullum taken in the tackle. Manly on the attack. Meredith searching out wide. To Marty Gurr. The pass looked a little forward. Can Penrith hang on here? Well, the defence is held pretty close. It's only a metre out. Final tackle. Manly move it. Kick hoisted high. Pressure on McNeil. Oh, and he took it well. He took it well. Play will restart on the quarter line. Well, if you handle the pressure in a grand final, Bill, 9 times out of 10 you'll come out on top.
Yes, and Penrith are handling the pressure very well. That was a one-on-one situation to go up for a bomb, but the Penrith player came down with it, and now they'll restart with a tap from the quarter line.
And it's Thompson with the tap restart for Broman. He's been very involved in the opening 25 minutes. Well, no grand final. In the last few years has figured without a Parramatta or Canterbury. In '87 it's different, and a man that would dearly love to be there is Steve Mortimer.
He certainly would, David. Disappointed Canterbury aren't back there again, Steve.
Well, mate, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it all the time, I guess, and the 2 teams that have got here today thoroughly deserve it. What more can you say?
Well, who deserves to win then?
Well, you know, without sounding like sitting on the fence, I think Manly have been the form side all year. They've led from the front, and I think they're entitled to win the competition, but don't underestimate Canberra. They seem to have great direction under their coaches of Ferner and Bennett. But I think Manly, particularly, I look for a big game in Crusher Cleveland.
Still no decision about your Fisher?
I've come very close, actually, to making a decision. It'll be announced next week in Rugby League Week, and from there I'll stand by it.
David, I'm sure we'll all be listening for that one.
You're not wrong, Graham Hughes. Steve Mortimer, thanks for joining us. Manly on the attack. Gately again, trying to show the ball and keep that ball alive. Manly still on attack. They trail 4-0. Gurr puts the ball. Oh, it's not a good kick. Let's see the outcome of it. Lob tidies it up 10 metres out from his own goal line.
Dave, I think that's an area where Manly can improve somewhat. They've been fairly predictable on the last tackle, like putting up the kick. I think that if they, on occasions, ran the ball or tried an inside pass, that it could just cause the Penrith defence to be found wanting.
Also, the little grubber to make them turn could come in. Here's a break by Penrith. 10 metres short of the halfway line. Robinson was the man that went upfield. Thompson a dummy half. Izzard. He's got great strength, Brad Izzard. I suppose this time last year or a few weeks before the grand final time, he was on the short list of a possibility of a kangaroo tour. He's had an unfortunate 87.
Yes, he has, but he's got to put his stamp on this game in the first half. I can't see Brad going the full 70 minutes.
There's Fitzhenry again, trying to turn this Manly defence around. Gurr scurrying towards the touchline. Ticehurst tidies up as well. Runs it up towards the 22. Beat one, but can't beat Delaney, who comes in for the second chop and earns himself a caution. In fact, 5 minutes in the sin bin. Well, Wayne Pearce, they are the sort of things that can prove costly in grand finals.
Most certainly, David, and there was no need for it. There was not a clear break made. There were plenty of the Penrith defenders were set for the next ruck, so I can't understand that. And it was at a vital stage, really, with 7.5 minutes going till half time, and that's a critical stage in any game.
So the scoreline 4-0 with Penrith in the lead. Welcome back to Grand Final Day here on Network 10 and associated stations all around Australia. News out here in reserve grade. Penrith lead the reserve grade Grand Final by 4 points to 0. And at the standard of play in first graders, anything like we've seen in the last 3 or 4 minutes, some exceptional ball skills by the Manly side and some very determined defence by the side that's leading by 4-0, the Penrith Panthers. Earlier today, the St George side defeated South Sydney in the under-23s by 32 points to 14 after leading by 16-8 at half-time. Of course, big interest in the main one today. First grade, Manly and Canberra, and a man that'll play a big role in the outcome of that match is the Manly halfback Des Hasler. He's with Debbie Spillane.
Des Hasler, just a couple of hours to go to the big moment. How are you feeling?
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, it's a little bit warmer than I thought, so I think nobody's thought about the heat, so it should be interesting to see how that plays a part in today's game.
How do you see that affecting mainly the forwards?
Yeah, I think so. In the past, heat's always been associated with slowing up the big fellas and that. But I think a game like today's, I don't think it's sort of going to play that much part. I think everyone will run until they drop.
Well, the Canberra halves are seen as part of the dangerous part of their attack. How do you feel about them? Yeah, they're great players. Chris O'Sullivan and Ivan Henchek, so they'll have to be watched and have to be checked in that. And I suppose that comes back to myself and Cliff Lyons. So we'll be doing our best in that department.
Well, I just wonder how nervous he'll be this time next week. Des Hasler gets married, but we see Ticehurst taking play up towards the halfway line. And again, this is the vital stage. 2 minutes and 48 seconds remaining to half-time. It would be a cruel blow to the Penrith side if they did concede a try after their determination so far in this first half.
Yes, it would. And what's also becoming noticeable is the fact that under these sweltering conditions, the defences are becoming tired around the rucks. And I expect to see in the lead up to half-time and in the second half, a lot of breaks made in that area.
McNeil taking his time over it, but easily avoided the tackle. Comes to Cullum, beat that tackle as well. Runs play up over the 22, comes to Bourne, and finally he's put to ground. And McNeil, the try scorer, has also been very, very involved in this first half, as has his other winger, Mark Robinson. As Billy mentioned, has taken off a lot of pressure from his big forwards. They'll need every bit of help they can get out there today in these conditions that really are energy sapping. But even be energy sapping sitting on the touchline, Piercy, wouldn't in that heat?
Certainly is, Fordo. We've got to wear these jackets, unfortunately, but it certainly is oppressive, the conditions, and I'm sure the forwards in particular will be looking forward to the half-time break. But the error rates, speaking of errors, there's an error there, but the error rates have surprised me, Peter. What about you? I think that the handling has been quite good under the conditions.
Yes, the handling's been good. The defence is something else. I don't think either side, when they go in at half-time, will be overly happy with their defence, and that's certainly an area they're going to have to polish up second half if whoever's going to go on and win this match.
Scrum feed, 10 metres in Manly's end of the ground, a Manly scrum feed. Referee Greg McCullum not happy. Mitchell Cox again to feed it. Strike by Haggett. Oh, good defence. Izzard quickly off the back of the scrum for the Penrith team. O.J. Cunningham, player of the future in this Manly side. Meredith, Barclay, Gately for Austin, beat one tackle. Takes play to within 1 metre of the halfway line. Manly's end of the ground. They trail by 4-0 in the final minute of this first half. Close trying to make an impact in his very last match for the Manly Warringah side before he goes to the Gold Coast team next year. In fact, he's played 100 first grade games. A number of test matches, but a dozen games for Queensland. Here's Barclay up towards the 22. Over the top. The defence. Here's Gurr hoisting it high. McNeil took it again well under pressure. He's had a great game. Final 10 seconds, so Penrith will weather the storm of this Manly onslaught, and they'll go to the half-time break. Leading by 4 points to nil. The try scorer was Rod McNeil. Fitzhenry couldn't convert in his only attempt of this first half, and as the players leave, it's 4 points to nil. Well, what a trip down memory lane that was. This famous Sydney Cricket Ground. We saw that setting sun on the members' clock, 5:05. I wonder this afternoon on grand final day, September 27, 1987, who would have done that victory lap? Peter, 4 times you've done it with the Parramatta side. That must have brought back great memories and a touch of sadness, I suppose. What are your feelings about this old lady, the Sydney Cricket Ground?
Well, I certainly have, very fond memories of this ground. We've had a lot of luck here and a lot of success. And, I suppose that with the new ground, moving out to the new ground next year, we do go there with mixed feelings. But onward and upward, if you've got to progress in this game. And I'll look back at the SCG with very fond memories. Certainly more happy memories than sad ones.
Well, a great tribute there. Sydney Cricket Ground tribute put together by Graham Hughes and our director, Alan Catt. Some wonderful memories. And these players out involved in the reserve grade grand final, they're part of history this afternoon as well. The last reserve grade grand final on this great ground. At the moment, Penrith chasing their first title, lead by 4 points to nil against Manly Warringah, who are in quest of their 5th. So Bourne takes play outside the 22. Barclay, charging run upfield, looked for the support on the inside of Haggett, couldn't unload the pass. Midway between the half, the 22 Manly's entered the ground. Well, the penalty, the first of the second half, goes against Penrith. One thing that disappointed me, Billy Anderson, was the kicking game. Very predictable by Manly in the first 35 minutes.
It was. They'll need to vary that, particularly when they're in the Penrith quarter. But other than that, they had other problems. I felt that their defence was quite sound, but they just forfeited possession too easily. And they had a lot of try-scoring opportunities, Manly, in the first 35 minutes of the game, but they weren't able to come up with a valuable 4-pointer. But if they can control the ball a little better under these sort of hot conditions, something's going to crack in the Penrith side if they can just keep putting pressure on.
So Manly on attack, knocked forward by Bourne. In fact, the referee says come off the foot. As we welcome our viewers at Orange, Griffith and Tamworth to grand final day here on Network 10. Tremendous day in Sydney. Perfect beach weather. I don't know how fellows like Kevin Ward, Crusher Cleal and Sam Bacco will feel around about 3:15 this afternoon. Oppressive heat. 40-odd thousand people. Manly on the attack. Close, got the pass beautifully away. Gurr was the man that linked into that back line for Manly. There's the kick again. This time the variation was nicely picked up by Ticehurst. Well, that's the variation we're looking at, Bill. It nearly came off for the Manly side. It was predictable, as you mentioned, and I think that is a great variation.
It is, but even if it didn't come off, at least it has the Penrith defence guessing somewhat, and they won't know what to expect next time.
31 degrees in the middle of the Sydney Cricket Ground at the moment. Fenton for Wayne Pearce. Penrith with that 4 points to nil lead. Manly with no rewards for a very enterprising first half. Do you think that would be a worry for coach Alan Thompson?
I certainly do think it is a bit of a worry, David, and mainly because of the fact that they've made many breaks and they just haven't capitalised on those. And I think at least 2 or 3 of those should have led to tries, but the last pass either went to ground or there was a good tackle in cover. But I really think that they haven't really capitalised on the breaks that they've made.
Well, that was crazy play by Manly Warringah. Then there was a dreadful pass to Dwyer. That could have been very costly. Manly can't afford for Penrith to put another 4-pointer on the board early in the second half. They are the side that must get on the board first in this reserve grade grand final in the second half. Good defence again by this very committed Penrith side. Haggett now for Bourne, charging upfield. Kick downfield. McLeod, he's the try scorer from the first half, takes play about 5 metres out from his own goal line. Penrith working it outside their own 22. 4-0 the scoreline. Interesting in that first half, missed tackles 14 Penrith, 9 Manly, but still came away with the advantage at half-time, Bill.
Yes, it's not just a matter of how many you miss, it's his vital stages, when and where you miss them.
Final tackle now for Penrith. It's Thompson, a dummy half. McNeil, long driving kick downfield. Marty Gurr inside his own 22, fielded it very confidently. Ran to the centre of the quarter line, went on the outside of Delaney, but that's a great tackle by the little Penrith halfback. Tim Dwyer runs from dummy half. Makes a valuable 5 or 6. Manly keeping the ball alive. Pass from Cox out to Austin, bumped off one, stood in the tackle. Finally driven to the ground, 10 metres short of halfway. Martin Merritt at the dummy half. Barclay stepped off the right foot, took play towards halfway, unloaded the pass well for his second-row partner Cullum, and he takes it 10 metres inside Penrith's end of the ground. So now some holes starting to open out wide. Can Manly exploit it? Cox out to Cunningham. Beautiful tackle though by McNeil. Now they switch it again towards the open. Cox, the little kick through. See the changeover of possession as the two Manly coaches go into conference. Bobby Fulton looked very, very relaxed. But what a lot of pressure is on him, chasing his first grand final as a coach after such a marvellous record as a player, Bill.
Yes, and he'd have very mixed feelings on this game. He wants the reserve grade to win, but he'd also like to get some players off to add to his already 2 fresh replacements.
4-0 the scoreline in this reserve grade grand final at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Welcome back right around Australia to Network 10's coverage. Grand Final Day 1987. You're currently watching the reserve grade grand final between Manly and Penrith. For those that may have just joined us, Penrith, in search of their first ever grand final victory, are leading by 4 points to 0. Manly Warringah in possession of the ball. That's Bourne taking play upfield. He takes it about 8 metres out from his own quarter line. Well, the special guest today to present the Winfield Cup and the J.J. Giltman Shield at the end of the first grade will be the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable R.J. Hawke. Also here today, the Federal Sports Minister John Brown and the New South Wales Sports Minister Michael Cleary. He's with Graham Hughes.
Well, Michael, the day's perfect. The weather, which way are you going?
I'm going for Manly. I think most of the people are, but I just believe that they've got the ability, and it's a steady form of ability they've had all year. It reminds me a little bit of the old 65 when we, South Sydney, took on St George. We were the young, inexperienced side. It was full of enthusiasm and thought we were going to top the mighty Dragons. And I think the same situation is here with Canberra. Everyone loves them, wants to see them do well, but I think Manly's got the goods.
You've played here in grand finals, as you just mentioned. A sad day, the SCG, the last grand final here.
Yeah, change of an era. But since our days, it's changed a lot now with the Pat Hill stand and the Clive Churchill stands. A lot different atmosphere to what it was years ago. But with rugby league going modern, and particularly with the crew that Channel 10 have got up here, you've been here since 10 o'clock. It's been a magnificent exhibition of telecasting. With the changes like that, you just got to go over to a ground that's built for rugby league, soccer and rugby union. You just can't stay in a cricket ground.
I know you're going to enjoy it. Have a good day.
Thanks very much.
Michael Cleary talking with Graham Hughes, and Chris Close taking play inside the 22. Haggett, here's Cunningham. Good run by Cunningham, 5 metres short. Now the Penrith defence is stretched. Haggett, it goes out through Cox. Cox turned it back inside to Barclay, and once again the Penrith defence rises to the occasion. Marty Gurr, switch of play. Cox, Callum, Austin. Pass has gone forward. Finally knocked on by Ticehurst. Well, all through this match so far, Manly have attacked. They cannot break this Penrith defence. Yet another example.
But there were some good signs there then for Manly. They did one thing in that passage of 6 play the balls they haven't been doing, and that is they played the ball very quickly. If they continue to do that, they've got to register points.
So the scrum to pack down. 10 metres out from the Penrith line. Scrum feed by Delaney of Penrith, and a penalty. Well, that will relieve pressure. Well, the spoils for victory this afternoon is the Giltman Shield and the famed Winfield Cup. And the two men that graced it, as Graham Hughes mentioned earlier, were Norm Provan and Arthur Summons on that muddy day here at the Sydney Cricket Ground in 1963. Here they are talking with Graham Hughes.
A great moment in 1963. Norm, can you remember that moment?
I certainly can, Graham. It was a great moment to get off the field with a win, pretty close win. Arthur made it hard for us, turned us around all day in the mud, and did everything else but win the game. But it was a great moment, and I can still remember it.
Right through the 60s, Arthur, the Western Suburbs seemed to have to chase St George.
Yes, unfortunately, Graham, that seemed to be that's the thing I don't want to remember, really. You keep bringing it up, and to be second is not a very pleasant situation, but they were a great side, and to lose to a side of their calibre was no real disgrace.
Is that what everybody should remember the game of rugby league, a bit of mateship?
Well, I don't think I was saying that to you, Norm, when I came off. I was half abusing you because you beat us. No, of course not, but it looks all right now since, and there's been a lot of enjoyable moments since, and you've respected the situation since then, both the media and everyone else, and it's very nice.
Well, you're both for a credit to the game of rugby league. I hope you enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you, Graham.
Two great champions, one big one small one, but both firmly etched in the history of rugby league in New South Wales. Haggett. Dwyer broke the line, kept the ball alive.
And you can see now, Dave, the situation we spoke about earlier, that under the oppressive heat, the little holes are starting to open up just around the rucks.
There's Bourne, long pass, out to Austin, kept the ball again alive. Cunningham, great turn of pace, came back in field, but the Penrith defence there once again. It's been impressive stuff from Penrith. They've weathered the storm under very testing conditions. Here's the break by Meredith. The Manly captain up inside the 22. Desperation defence by Penrith. Dwyer at dummy half. Cox out to Barclay. Popped the pass out the back. Picked up by Haggett of Manly. Switch of play for Bourne. Barclay. There's the gap. Barclay run down by the Penrith defence.
Once again, it was that last-ditch defence by Penrith that looked for all intents and purposes that Barclay had them shot to pieces. He speared through a gap, looked for support, and then all of a sudden the defence closed on him.
Well, Graham Murray eagerly looks on. 4 points to nil. These Chargers are leading at the moment. Wayne Pearce, it's been desperate defence by Penrith.
It certainly has, David, and they've... I suppose that's been the feature of their match, really, has been their scrambling in defence. Manly, as I said earlier, have made many, many breaks, and it's just due, really, to the tremendous, not only Penrith cover, but also their fullback, who's tackled extremely well.
Well, big Mark Brokenshire is warming up behind you down there, Peter Sterling. Pretty handy player to inject into this Manly side if he comes on.
Yes, very handy player, David, and you know, it's a credit to Mark to come down in his first year from Newcastle and perform as well as he did. Unfortunate for him that he did suffer an injury throughout the year. I think otherwise we'd have seen him running out in the first grade today.
Well, he played 12 first-grade games and 5 reserve-grade games in a season where he was injury-plagued. But he's a damaging player, and a player that I would assume would make a fair impact, Billy, if he's injected pretty soon.
Yes, he will. He's a player who's fresh. He'll take the ball forward for them, and he'll also tidy up some defence in the centre of the ruck.
So the knock-on's been ruled by referee Greg McCullum. And I suppose the timing of these substitutions in the second half will be very, very important in the outcome of this grand final.
Yeah, judicious replacements here by coaches can win and lose your games.
So the scrum packing down midway between half 22 at Manly's end of the ground. Delaney comes up with the scrum win. Fitzhenry picked it up beautifully off his boots. Taken by Meredith in the tackle. That's Delaney, a dummy half. Lobb injected himself from fullback. Stood in the tackle. Tried the one-handed pass out the back. Cunningham came in to wrap him up with Manly captain Meredith. Izzard to his brother Brad. Takes play to a metre short of halfway, the quarter line. Delaney, that's Mark Geyer, the biggest man out there today at 6'4". Got the pass away beautifully. Gary Longhurst appears to be the replacement player in this Penrith side. Fitzhenry, Izzard, danger, and McLeod driven to the ground. We have Glenn Bourne coming off for the Manly side. Brokenshire, obviously the player coming on as his replacement. I just wonder who Gary Longhurst has come on for. We'll check that out for you in a moment. It appears that it's Jamie Thompson. So Longhurst will pack down in the middle of that Penrith front row. There's Brokenshire. Goes into the Manly front row. Bourne receiving attention on the touchline. He's had a strong game. Graham Murray, precious moments ticking away. We have 20 minutes left. So Penrith have weathered the first 15 minutes of this second half by protecting that scoreline of 4 points to nil. Brokenshire's first touch, charging run upfield, bumped through one tackle of Geyer, but couldn't pick off Longhurst. Inroads up the middle. Beautiful pass. Brokenshire got it away, but Dwyer couldn't pick it up. Into touch on the far side. 4-0 is the scoreline here in the reserve grade grand final. Penrith on the attack. There's the pass out. Geyer. Cut out Izzard to Craig Izzard. Try. That could be the grand final for Penrith. Graham Murray shows little emotion, but what a vital try that one is. 8 points to 0. The Panthers in the lead.
About 2 minutes ago, a Manly mistake was what gave Penrith the ball, and here they've capitalised on it. Geyer read it well. It was a cut-out pass. He missed Brad Izzard, picked up Craig Izzard, and he did the rest in the corner.
Yes, we've been sitting on the sideline waiting for Brad Izzard to explode, and it's his brother Craig who's gone in the corner. Good ball from Geyer. Gave it to Izzard. No one in front of him, and that might just about wrap the game up for Penrith.
Well, 8 points to 0 with a kick to come. And a man that really is steeped in tradition in grand finals at the SCG has won Graham Langlands. He's with Graham Hughes.
Well, Graham, 6 grand finals. Do you ever remember one being as hot as this?
No, Graham, I can't. The very first grand final I played in was 1963, and I'd say there was at least 3 inches of mud all over the ground. But we played in nice, fine days, but the humidity, nothing like this.
Well, you must also remember the atmosphere of this great ground. Disappointing for you, this sad last grand final?
It is, really, because everybody from the time they're kids, when they start playing rugby league, always hope to run out on the Sydney Cricket Ground. Admittedly, the other complex is going to be great, but to run out here is something different.
All right, well, what about all the atmosphere of this ground? Which way do you think you're going to go today with the Manly camera?
Well, Canberra have been playing very, very well, but I think they'll have to lift their game just a bit more to be able to beat Manly, so I'll have to go for Manly. I think that they'll all round, they'll be too strong.
All right, David, there it is again. Another one for Manly, the favourites.
Okay, Changa Langlands, what a great man he is. Craig Connor is the man on in the Penrith side, in number 42, coming on at a very vital time with his side leading by 8 points to 0. They're searching for their first ever reserve grade grand final. No doubt Graham Murray, their coach's mind, is flashing back 10 years ago when he was in the Parramatta side that defeated Manly by 11 points to 9. Fitzhenry with the conversion attempt from touch. It's going to fall short and away to the left. So the scoreline at the Sydney Cricket Ground, 8 points to 0 in this reserve grade grand final between Penrith and Manly Warringah. Well, is that the ball game, Peter Sterling? A tremendous try with about 15 minutes of play remaining. Their second. Can you see Manly getting back into this ball game?
Well, they're capable of getting back into it if they can convert some of these chances they've created, but I think Penrith, they've got their tails up in the air. They've brought Craig Connor on, an excellent defender, and, well, I go for a Penrith win now. What do you think, Wayne?
I agree, Peter. I think it's asking a little bit too much to ask Manly to reverse the situation from here with only 15 minutes remaining. Penrith appear to be getting on top, and it's a battle of attrition from here, but I think Penrith will win.
Billy, I just wonder what effect it'll have on the Manly Warringah side if their reserve grade side does get beaten. It's not a good way for their club to start preparing for that first grade match.
I don't think it'll have a negative influence on their first grade side, but had their reserve grade won, I think it would have had a positive influence. I believe that the first graders believe that they're the best side in the competition, and today's the opportunity for them to go out and prove that.
Crusher Cleal, not long before he'll be thrown into the fray in the centre of the Sydney Cricket Ground. Big grand final extravaganza coming up before the kick-off, the entertainment, pre-match entertainment for Marty Gurr. Tried to keep it in the field of play. That will put more pressure on Manly Warringah. Well, it's his second appearance in a grand final. He lost it in 80 to Canterbury when he was playing with Eastern Suburbs. Chris Close has lost a couple as well. Martin Meredith has lost a couple.
Well, that mistake by Marty Gurr is indicative of the game, even though there are some 14 minutes yet to go and they're still on the scoreboard capable of winning the match. The thing they've got to turn around is the way they're playing. They're just not playing well enough to win it.
Here's Izzard Robinson. Mark Robinson held up 2 metres short. Chief Penrith are finishing full of running. Delaney a dummy half. They'll go back towards the old scoreboard end of the Sydney Cricket Ground. And Delaney's taken in the tackle. Longhurst at dummy half. He went on his own. The decoy was Connor. That's him at dummy half now in the headgear. Running square. Broman. Pass out the back door for lob. So the headgeared Penrith Panthers bobbing up all over the Sydney Cricket Ground at the moment. They lead by 8-0. Delaney out to Mark Geyer. Perfect ball for Izzard. Nissan driven to the ground and finally into touch. That's determined defence by Clyshurst. So Bourne, it appears, is coming back from the head bin, but this really is good defence. That's determination by the left winger from Manly Warringah. Glenn Bourne coming back on the touchline after a stint in the head bin. He looked very impressive in the opening minutes of the first half. Steinberg. Quite substantial. That tells the story. Manly 12 handling errors to Penrith 4. 4 handling errors in with the amount of minutes ticking by so far in this grand final. It's a pretty proud effort by Penrith.
Penrith have done very well. They've controlled the ball when they've had it. They haven't tried to do anything too flash. They've worked for field position, and when their opportunities have come, they've taken them.
They just camped outside their 22. Cox, Meredith, long pass for Austin. Support on the outside of Barclay. The big second rower stepped off the left foot. But again, some great defence by Penrith. That's on tackle number 6, and Penrith will come back with the ball. Craig Izzard to play it for Robinson. Playing in his last match for the Panthers. He's off to Eels territory next year. And Peter, he's a pretty vital buy.
He's a pretty good player, isn't he? He's played well today, always willing to go in and look for work, and he'll certainly put a lot of pressure on the guys that we have at the wings at Parramatta at the moment.
That's Delaney inside the 22. Minutes ticking away, 11 minutes in fact, 11 and a half minutes remaining if Manly are going to get back into this ball game. Broman settling it, centre field. On the final tackle, watch for Fitzhenry. The attempted drop goal. That's the extra point. That kicks them away to a 9-0 lead. And he did it oh so easy.
Yeah, he did it very easy. He set himself well. Fitzhenry, he's a noted field goal exponent, and came up with a 1-pointer.
9-0 the scoreline at the SCG. Just an hour and 10 minutes away from kickoff in the first grade grand final. The crowd basking in the beautiful Sydney sunshine. Capacity crowd at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And they've been enjoying a great reserve grade grand final that has Penrith in the lead by 9-0. Jeff Tooby has just recently come on the field for Manly Warringah. Finally, Cox succumbing to that leg injury. So Tooby will be playing in the halfback role, wearing number 31 for the Sea Eagles. But I just wonder what influence he can have on the game, Bill, with just over 7 minutes of play remaining.
He'll want to be a good player to turn it around from here, won't he?
So the scrum about to pack down, only about 2 metres out from the quarter line at Manly's end of the ground. Bob Fulton, Alan Thompson, the coaching staff of the Sea Eagles. And if this finally hangs on a 9-point decision, it's a great moment for Graham Murray of the Penrith side. He's leaving it after taking them to the under-23s last year. Reserves this year, was no longer wanted by the officials at Penrith. Longhurst trying to unload the pass. Only about 14 metres out now from the Manly goal line. The referee has detected the slight knock-on from Longhurst and will pack the scrum down. Manly feed. So Tooby, the little blonde-headed halfback for Manly Warringah, the replacement, comes around to work the scrum. 9-0. 2 tries to nil. Tries to McNeil and Craig Izzard. A drop goal by Fitzhenry. The 9 points so far in this grand final. The earlier game today, St George 32 defeated South Sydney 14 in the under-23 grand final. St George side, of course, featured the son of the great John Raper, who savoured the great triumph of the victory lap here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Gately trying to unload the pass, took the tackle. Manly trying to work it outside their own 22. They've got the job ahead of them now with just 6 minutes of play remaining. Tooby. Now Austin. Kick and chase. He's got a ton of pace. Watch this lad go. Got the pass. Oh, great tackle by Robinson. 2 metres short of the halfway line. Close for Barclay. Striding out as Ian Barclay. But that's the way the bouncers favoured Penrith nearly all day. But the penalty goes against the Panthers.
Good decision by Greg McCallum. He played the advantage here. Brad Izzard was a mile offside. He just shadowed the play after the break by Manly. The pass was thrown. He came up with it, but he was never in an onside position.
Well, here it comes up again in replay. He was the offender, and the referee right on the spot to rule. So Dwyer drives play inside the 22.
Stranger things have happened, I suppose. 5 minutes and 17 seconds to go and 9 points down. Manly can score and convert now. It's anyone's match.
Gately. Oh, that's a bad loss of possession. Well, Manly will still come back with it through Cunningham. He attacks towards the quarter line, but again, that desperate defence by Fitzhenry puts him on the ground. Greg Austin from dummy half went on his own, kept the pass away. Dwyer, that's Haggett. Barclay, that pass looked forward. Referee agrees. Barclay's been impressive, Bill.
He's had a good game. He's broken the line each and every time he's handled the ball.
So the scrum will go down with the minutes ticking away. In fact, 4.5 minutes remaining. At the end of the match, we'll be announcing the State Bank Man of the Match, an award that carries $500. And it appears, unless there's a dramatic change here at the Sydney Cricket Ground in the final 4 minutes of this reserve grade game, that history will be made, but not if they're going to make mistakes like that inside their own 22. Penrith, of course, chasing their first ever premiership in reserve grade. They won one back in the 70s in under-23s. Denied last year by South Sydney in under-23s. Scrum win Manly. Meredith. Close held in the tackle, middle of the 22. Matthew Loft. Meredith, stepping run. 12 metres short of the line, kept the ball alive. Weinberg. Oh, knock on again. Big Mark Geyer comes up with possession. Well, it appears history may be made. Wayne Pearce looking at the scoreboard, just over 3 minutes remaining.
Yes, I believe Penrith have certainly established their authority in this second half. The first half was probably Manly's half, despite the fact that they were behind 4-0 on the scoreboard, and Penrith have certainly come back. I think for Penrith, Mark Geyer and Craig Izzard have had big games, but I, like you, feel that Ian Barclay has certainly put his stamp on this match, and I think he'd be close to the best player on the field, Peter Sterling.
Yes, he's been Manly's most dangerous, along with, I thought Austin played particularly well in the centre, but I find it hard to go past Izzard. He scored the try that broke their back, and he's worked very hard, and I think Craig Izzard's played particularly well.
Well, they're on the move again. Penrith, Fitzhenry turning the defence around again, angling the kick for touch. It'll go in the in goal. Marty Gurr coming back. Finally kicks it dead in goal. 9 points to 0. 2 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in this reserve grade grand final. And one thing coming out of this, Peter Sterling, you'd be licking your chops at the moment. A couple of these players coming out to Eels territory next year, and they've been pretty impressive.
Yes, I think they've all played well. Fitzhenry's kicking game has been spot on, and even though they brought him as a halfback, I think he'll make an excellent 5'8", David. Robinson's been strong on the wing, and as I just said, Izzard's been very strong as well. So, yeah, we're very happy to welcome them with open arms.
Well, for all those viewers on Channel 10 out at the Penrith Leagues Club today, I can tell you it's into the final 2 minutes, and the Panthers are in the lead by 9 points to 0. With possession of the ball inside the 22. Chris Close, the frustration of the grand final. And what a shame it'd be if Chris Close has given any marching orders in his last game with the Manly Warringah side. I don't think it'll reach that, but really it comes back to frustration. Nothing's gone right for the Sea Eagles in this grand final. So referee Greg McCullum, here is the lead up. I just wonder whether anything went in there. Well, there's a couple. What's Chopper? In for his chop. And they come in like bees around a honey pot. Reminiscent Billy Anderson of a State of Origin clash a few years ago.
Yes, it was. Fortunately, it didn't come to a great deal. I don't think many of the blows connected, and the referee and touch judges, plus the captain, Craig Izzard, did a good job by coming in and squashing the whole thing very quickly.
Well, Izzard still working overtime, settling his players down. McCullum hearing the touch judge report. Close and Robinson. Robinson was the man that came in. So no action will be taken other than a penalty to the Penrith Panthers, and Izzard says, we'll use up the clock, sir. We're going to have a kick for goal. Very wise move. Very sound head on a very young man, only 23 years of age, joined from the Blacktown Workers. What great glory for him today. Played 11 first grade games this year. Fitzhenry. He's missed with both his attempts, but kicked a very handy drop goal to kick the Panthers to the lead by 9 points to 0. The clock stops with 25 seconds remaining in the reserve grade grand final. And so for the club that joined the Sydney Premiership back in 1967 with Cronulla, they've won an under-23 grand final in years gone by. This is their first in reserve grade and the last at the Sydney Cricket Ground. There's the icing on the cake. 2 more points. Mark Geyer gives him a great big hug. It's 11 points to 0. There's the hooter. It's all over. And Penrith celebrate. Today, they are not the chocolate soldiers, Billy Anderson.
They've done a great job, a well-coached team, very well disciplined. Graham Murray led from the front as the coach, and you can see here the jubilation on the players. A lot of these boys played in the under-23 team, which was defeated last year in that grand final. They were beaten 13 points to 0 by South Sydney, but today was their day.
Well, a tremendous moment for the Penrith side, 11 points to 0. And the State Bank man of the match goes to their captain, $500 to Craig Izzard.
Craig, congratulations, a magnificent display.
Thanks, Graham. It was a good night out here anyway. It's the main thing, but you know, I think we drummed into our blokes' head that 6 months hard work, and you know, we didn't finish first on the ladder, they did. You know, we did it hard. I don't think we're the underdogs. I think we're the underdogs, I should say. It was good effort.
What about for Graham Murray? A great win, and yet the club haven't signed him to be the reserve grade coach next year.
No, well, we did it for Graham. We did it for ourselves more than anything, you know. For the club too, a lot of blokes are leaving, but, you know, you can't take anything away from Graham Murray. He's a top coach.
All right, from courtesy of the State Bank, $500 for the man of the match this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Graham.
All right, there he is. The happy skipper from Penrith, the captain, Craig Izzard, man of the match, courtesy of the State Bank, $500. A break now, then back for the presentations.